Morning pen friends! It's Andy Dorm from pandapenclub.com and today it is the Moonman Wancai Mini, which comes in this gorgeous frosted presentation case similar to the Moonman M2. This style of presentation that Moonman are adopting for some of their pens, I wish they'd roll it out across all the models, because it sort of suggests a kind of confidence to the brand. It's very retro, I suppose. And even the pens that don't come packaged like this have a retro quality to them, which I think I've pointed out in another video. So, opening the box, which is a clip open box, which you could even keep for future use if you wanted. It also contains in the box a pipette, because this is an eye drop filler, and a slightly, in my opinion, redundant or pointless box of ink cartridges. Because while this is a pocket pen, it is at its heart, in its soul, an eyedropper pen. It's also extraordinarily tiny. Look at that. It is 87 millimeters long, capped. Uncapped, well, you wouldn't want to write with it uncapped. Uncapped, it would be like writing with a little sort of walnut with a pin stuck in it in your hand. It comes into its own. It demonstrates its thoughtful design when it's posted, and it's a screw to post pocket pen. And when posted like that, you have a pen that is a very reasonable and usable length, 121 millimeters in fact. If you compare the length here to a Sailor Realo, which I frequently write with unposted, you're talking very similar usable lengths, very comfortable usable lengths. This is indeed a comfortable writer, but we'll get to that a little later on. First off, I want to talk about the material. This is very thick acrylic, and it comes in a variety of patterns and designs. This one is kind of gorgeously turquoise swirled, a little bit like a marble. I'm actually old enough to have collected marbles, and collecting marbles, when I collected marbles, seemed like a slightly old school retro activity. So it seems really, maybe I was just an elderly little child, I don't know, but yeah, showing my age. Yeah, so we have a sort of marbling, three-dimensional swirling going through the thick acrylic body of the pen. And the thickness of the acrylic is important in this pen because, as I've mentioned, it is both a pocket pen and an eyedropper. So you want to be able to use it as an eyedropper, fill its barrel with sloshing vast amounts of ink so you don't have to worry, instead of the mimsy little cartridges that come in the box. And then you want to toss it into your pocket and not worry about it exploding in there like a little grenade that it potentially is. Next key defining design feature, which is the twist or the screw to post mechanism. It takes about, I would say, less than one turn to post, which is of course, well, really convenient, and you get the full length pen. Because of the thickness of the acrylic, you have this it almost feels like a double step from the shaft to the section. In fact, it's not a double step, it's a step and then the threads. But this first step is necessarily very thick. I would say 3 millimeters, something like that, but you want that to provide the reassurance when you're pocketing it. So I guess the next thing to point out, because we're talking about this pen as a portable little tool, you can you can toss in your handbag along with your lipstick and your eyeliner. Concern you might have, I don't really have any flat surfaces handy. Maybe you can see over there. You want to be able to put it on a flat surface without it rolling away. There's no clip to stop it. But as you can see, it survived. It's not fallen on the floor. So as long as you put it flat on your flat surface. We did experiment with various inclines, and it didn't take much actually to start this little baby rolling towards its doom. But because you've got the ink in there sloshing about, and you've got the asymmetrical nature of the nib situation when you're putting it down at an unpredictable angle that can create some momentum that will cause it to roll. But nonetheless, I think on balance, the lack of clip is not really a problem. And because it's such a darling, dear little creature, like you can hold it in your hand like you might have held your pet hamster as a child. It's desperately sweet. I'm not sure I would want to interrupt that experience with an intrusive little clip. So the next thing to point out is the finial, which is where we house our extremely useful and well-designed threaded screw-to-post mechanism. It's also domed. You see there's a sort of little mounded finial. And maybe this seems like a bizarre point to mention. It seems that way until it comes time to fill your pen, which I do strongly recommend you use as an eyedropper. Now, one thing I will say acutely in its favour is you have a lot of space to work with. Let me try and show you the other way up. The inner dimensions of the filler here. What have we got? Something along the lines of 9.3, 9.4 millimeters of space to fill your pen, which is great. I, in fact, didn't bother with the rather gorgeous glass eyedropper that's provided, and it is gorgeous. It's keepable. You would want to save that. But I think you can actually just pour ink directly into the damn thing, which makes you feel terribly, I don't know, powerful and effective if you're looking for that sort of experience. However, it does bear pointing out the little mound at this point. You can't leave the shaft of the pen on a flat surface while you fill because of this mound. So this could present a problem. Now you can, as I would generally prefer to do, just fill it directly with your hand. This sort of gymnastical kind of display. But I think it's another good reason among many also to keep a pot plant on your desk. You can, for example, just insert your little pen into the soil and fill it with your Robert Oster Envy. That way, without any trouble, without a modicum of spillage, I promise you. In fact, yeah, without a modicum of spillage. Very proud of myself for that. So, pot plants on the desk are a great thing. Oxygen and pen filling. 2 good reasons. Probably need a third for the law of 3 to keep us all feeling comforted, but 2 good reasons. I'm sure somebody can come up with a third for me. Pretty. There you are. Pretty. So, we've got our pen. We're filled with Robert Oster Envy ink. We've got a fairly easy fill there. And I guess it's time to talk about the section, which is a reasonable length. It has this little ridge at the front, which you can lay your finger against, and it stops you sort of cack-handedly smearing your fingers down towards the nib if that presents any risk at all. And it's comfortable to grip, despite this pseudo double ridging action we've got here. I tend to grip down here. It rests comfortably in the hand because you've got the ink towards the front. You've got this quite nice gentle weighting of the ink towards the front of like a sort of Casper the Friendly Ghost or something. So the nib, the nib design itself, it's a gold nib. Gold in colour, I mean. It's stainless steel, gold coloured. And whenever I open a pen and I see a gold coloured nib, I immediately anticipate that rich sort of give you're going to get when you apply pen to paper. But of course, because it's stainless steel nib, you don't get that lovely luxuriant ease that you get with a gold nib. Nonetheless, what can I say about this nib? Appearance wise, other than the fact it is deceptively gold in colour. It's got a lot of fancy scroll work in a little sort of point towards the top, and the wording on it says Moonman super quality, which coheres with the general superhero theme of the brand, I think. Super quality. And in general, I'd agree. I found the nib really pleasant to use. It only comes in an F as far as I know. But I think it's a soft and kind of helpfully easy F, if that makes any sense. It's helpful. I wrote the notes for this review in bed. So I was writing on my knee very easily, and the pen, when you're using it, creates quite a lot of pencil-like feedback, both sound and sensation, and that enables you to write with a sort of furious determination that lets anyone in the room, if they're listening out for it, know that you're busy and they should be quiet. I sound very stern. I am very stern. So yeah, delicate in appearance, but chunky and reassuring. It does seem to dry out a little bit, but very easy to write with nonetheless. The Robert Oster Envy comes out, despite being this kind of Nordic green, sort of loo cleaner green colour. Sorry, Robert Oster. Coming out of the Moonman Wancai, it's a little faded or delicate in its hue, which I don't really have a problem with. And I can't emphasize enough how easy this pen is to write with. I wrote the notes for this review in bed, on my lap, in various positions, without any trouble. And for that alone, I'd say it accomplishes its mission of being an admirable pocket pen. It's portable, it's adorable, it's somewhat talkative, both in the sounds it makes and as a talking point. People are going to coo over this pen, and if you're the sort of person that wants to encourage that, that's great. If you're the sort of person that recoils from such things, well, you can use the pencil-y noise to repel those individuals so inclined. And then when you're done, toss it in your handbag and flee the premises. This is the writing sample section of my review for the Moonman Wancai. Now, as you can see, the pen is in rather a dismal, somewhat vandalized looking condition. What happened? Well, I've been on a plane with this darling thing recently, and like a lot of these types of Moonman pens, it seems to have had rather a rough ride. They're not terribly happy travellers, these little pens. There you are. You can see splattering already. Yeah, I'll give it a quick wipe and ignore the rest of the Chernobyl-ish fallout of this, and endeavour to deliver our writing sample without smearing ink everywhere. Look at this. Let's draw a line beside that, which I'm now going to smear as well. Crikey, I'm a messy pup, you know. Can't help it. Chin how, one side, pocket pen. Very pleasant to write with this pen. Very pleasant. I like the bite. I like this fine nib. I think it's a good nib with obviously rather good ink flow, considering the propensity to splatter away. Lovely. Indeed, lovely panda. Seeks. Jinxed. Zebra. For quick game of whist. Bite. A little line variation if you want it. And a very easy writer. Easy playing little pen. If only it didn't explode on me all the time. But c'est la vie. Check out more of our videos, which you can access on the Panda Pen Club channel on YouTube or pandapenclub.com. Mwah. Did you enjoy yourself? Yeah. I did. And I have been on a plane. And I have been on a plane ignoring all the traditional advice regarding how one looks after one's fountain pens on a plane. So we shouldn't be too damning of the one sire. Maybe we should be damning of my habits instead.